particularly at special events like Thanksgiving or maybe even a homecoming of some kind, will sort of say grace before the meal, and there'll usually be one family member who stands up and says it on behalf of the entire group.
That's very normal. Even the hand holding.
Really?
It's very, very, very normal.
Wow. Okay, that's different. Welcome back to the channel, my wonderful people. And guys, of course, it's going to be a very special reaction because I've got my boy Justin with us today.
What's going on?
What's going on, people? Guys,
excited for this one.
Yeah, this one is good. I'm excited for this one as well because we're going to be checking out 5 ways British and American meal etiquette is very different. This is coming from Lawrence's channel. This is across Lost in the Pond. Part of the reason why I'm excited, I don't want to speak on behalf of you as well, but is to say I'm from the UK. And Justin is from America. So this is going to be really interesting as well because you have your perspective and you know more so what it's like with American etiquette and me coming from the UK. And we're going to see what what Lawrence has to say. I said your name.
We look alike.
We're
kind of twins. When you guys watch the video, we'll be twins.
So this is going to be really interesting to get that to see whether you agree or disagree with some of these things, because he lives. Lawrence is a Brit, but he lives in America. Okay. So he's giving us perspective. So he has both. Okay. So I want to see if you agree with some of the stuff as well.
That's good. So I'm interested to see what he says.
Exactly. All right, guys. Well, guys, enough jibber jabber. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video as well, especially when we to bring back Justin on the channel, and as well if you want to see more of this type of content. But other than that, guys, let's dive on in. Let's go.
They hear your accent and you are American, their ears might prick up a bit thinking, here comes a payday.
That's definitely a case in the UK.
Hello, I'm Lawrence and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to how we eat, dining etiquette. It's so important, especially when you're meeting your American family for the first time. I'm not talking from experience, maybe just a bit. Cultural differences around the dinner table don't just come down to the words we use, like chips versus fries, or the dishes that we serve. So, America's pecan pie versus Britain's spotted dick. And that is an actual dessert, okay? Look it up, just not on your work computer. But it's also about some of the mechanisms that we use to get it into our mouths. I'm still talking about food. And also some of the customs and politeness norms that comes with the process of eating. And so without further crab rangoon, here are 5 ways that British and American eating etiquette is very, very different.
Oh.
Whether you call it cutlery, like we do in Britain, or silverware or flatware, or in this case plasticware, because, we are rationing, we can all agree that without them, meal times would be very, very messy, especially in America where they put sauce on everything. But the real question is, how do we hold them? And this was part of my existential crisis after I moved to the United States, because I grew up learning the European style, or as it might be known here, the continental style. And when I say that, I'm referring to what is the official utensil etiquette, right? As opposed to the official American etiquette. And I'm going to show you, I think anyway, some of the differences. I personally don't have either etiquette completely down because, in my wife's words, I still eat like a toddler. But it mostly comes down to how we hold the fork. In Britain, you hold it kind of like that, I think. So you've got it, the end of it's touching your palm, and then you sort of grasp it with your thumb and your pointy finger, and it's there for pointing downward, right? And you stick it into the potatoes or the strawberries or the spotted dick. And notice it's in my left hand. That's going to be important in a moment. And in the other hand, you have your knife, right? Usually like this, with the pointy finger right there, and it's touching your palm again. So consistent on both hands, right? It's almost an extension of you. You're almost Wolverine, but from the United Kingdom or Europe. And then you do this, right? Usually at a lower level. You wouldn't be able to see it because my arms are off screen now, so I'll put them back there. And then you cut into the potatoes or the strawberries or the creamy spotted dick. You can come with custard. That's normal. And voila, and put it in your mouth. There's nothing on this. This isn't that scene in Hook where they eat invisible food. It goes this way round. Right, with the tines facing downward toward your tongue. In America, it's quite a bit different, right? So people will hold their fork like this, with the tines facing upward. In other words, to kind of scoop up the food, right? So they'll do that, and actually sometimes, not every time, I mean, I'm sure there are people that circumvent all of the things you hear in this very list, but sometimes Americans won't even use a knife, right? You'll just see them scoop something up, maybe a potato, we won't go through the entire list again, put it in their mouth. If they want to cut up things in that way, sometimes sometimes I'll do it with the fork, right? Don't recommend it with plastic
wow.
forks. You know, you can get through these pretty quickly if you do that. But if they do use a knife, they may turn the fork like this into the potato and then cut like that. You've got it there, you turn it back around, it's in your gob, and there you go. Bob's your uncle, you've got potatoes. And, you know, that's what a lot of Americans do. My father-in-law, though, did this. He had it like that and like that. He'd turn it that way, and then like that. It sort of looked, I should tell you that my in-laws were cavemen, but it was through those very cavemen / dear relatives of my wife that I was first introduced to our next entry.
Okay, before we go on to next, yeah, go on. What we gonna say about
Okay, so when he was starting to talk about the American way, I was like, I didn't agree.
Okay.
But I think I do a little bit of all of that.
Okay,
like,
right.
If I'm eating a steak, I'm doing it his way. I'm putting the fork in my left hand. I'm right-handed. So I'll put the fork in my left hand, use the knife in my right hand, and use it how he said it.
Okay, right.
You know, point it down.
The down, yeah, slice. Okay.
And then it depends on my setting. Like if I'm fine dining, I'll put it right in my mouth. If I'm just like chilling, I might put it back in my right hand. I might cut it all up at once, and then use my right hand to poke it and do the scoop method. If I'm eating rice, but I really do the fork to cut.
Okay.
I actually had lasagna last night. Okay. And I used my fork to cut it and eat it. Okay. So he is right about that.
That's so interesting. And you know, I would echo that as well, even from the British perspective. I actually don't. I eat probably more an American way, the way he described it, with the fork down. No, up. Up, yeah. Like, I go down and I scoop it up. I've never had it like that, but I'm unhinged. I feel like I'm all over the place.
I just feel like that's if you're cutting like meat, like a piece of chicken, like a chicken breast, then I'll do.
It has to be down, right?
The way down, right? Yeah. Like a steak, whatever it is, something that's tough, like where you're gonna have to use a little force to get it done. Then that would be do it the continental way, as he said.
Right. Well, that's interesting. Me and you both are kind of like, okay, it depends. So. Interesting.
Yeah, he was losing me at first, but he brought it back in.
Okay.
And by the way, handsome guy, so I see why you made a mistake in this.
Right, exactly. Right, you know, it's easy mistake. Like, there's not many handsome guys I see often. So, you know. Justin. Every time I see it.
I see it now. Like when you first said it, I was like, whoa. But now that we're going through it, I understand.
Relatives of my wife that I was first introduced to our next entry.
All right, let's see. Saying grace.
Yes, saying grace. This one is quite a tough entry in many ways because, you know, in order to talk about it, I do have to somewhat generalize. And also, I don't have much data to back up what I'm about to say. It's more observationally driven, right? So when I lived in England for 27 years of my life, I don't say that with disdain. It was a good time. But in all that time, I don't really remember sitting down to a dinner function of any kind and really sort of saying grace beforehand. In other words, kicking off the meal with a sort of faith-based thanks. Now, part of that, and again, this is where the generalization comes in, so bear with me, but in England, we tend to be less sort of like publicly open or just sort of even privately open, if you can be, among your family members about your religious beliefs. Whereas in the United States, I think people are more sort of proud of that, whatever their religious faith is. And so sometimes in some families, and this again could be regional, so I might well be generalizing, but some families, including the extended relatives that I married into, I didn't marry them, I married into the family. Some families, and I gather maybe quite a lot of families here in the United States, particularly at special events like Thanksgiving or maybe even a homecoming of some kind, will sort of say grace before the meal, and there'll usually be one family member who stands up and says it on behalf of the entire group, and then you say amen and go about your way. For me, it was quite weird at first, I think. Now, I'm very respectful of other people's religious beliefs. I didn't really know what to do except just sort of sit there and then wait for it to be done, and then because I had half a mind on the turkey, so what are you going to do? And because I'm generalizing here, it's important for me to say that this is my experience. I'd be very interested to hear other people's experiences, other Europeans' experiences of coming here and maybe having to say grace when they're not used to it, or, you know, Americans that don't themselves practice this. I've also heard it can go one step further here where the whole family holds hands. I definitely draw the line at that, especially right now. The best way way that I can put this for British people watching back home is, you know, in football when, you know, somebody dies and they have a minute's silence within the stadium, and then when the minute's silence is up, they all erupt in applause and all of that. It's kind of like that, minus the applause. You know, it's just an amen. But the energy after that is great because you all want to tuck into your food. And because the energy's so good, that leads us on to our next entry.
Okay. All right.
Very familiar with that.
Okay, because that's what you know in your head a bit.
That's
so
normal.
You say
that's very normal. Even the hand holding.
Really?
That's very, very, very normal.
What? Okay, that's different. I was not. That's foreign to me. I've never, even in the religious household I know in the UK, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
The hand holding, especially. Have you experienced that?
Yes.
What?
I mean, like, so, like we talked off camera before. I had my own little religious journey.
Right.
Where I was still figuring out what it meant to me and my relationship with God and stuff. So for a while, like when I was younger, my mom took me to church. But every meal we said grace, held her hand.
Okay.
It was just me and her, so held her hand. We'd say grace. She would say it. Sometimes she would have me say it to just challenge me, get my brain working, have me actually care.
Huh.
Every big get together, Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever big meal it is. Usually the person whose house it is, whoever's like the head of that household, would have everyone hold hands in a circle.
Wow, that's crazy.
Usually around the food, unless the food's in the kitchen, then it'll be somewhere else. But hold hands in like a circle where we're all attached, and then one person will say the grace. We'll all close our eyes, bow our heads,
that's
and then
different.
And go eat.
Wow.
Like my mom to this day still says grace before she eats.
Wow.
So,
okay. I mean,
it's very, very, very normal. But
that's different.
Even like in the white households I've been in, black households, when I was learning about Islam and Muslim, they pray a different way, but like they still pray before they eat and things like that. So
wow.
It's very common here.
That's news to me, man. I mean, like, yeah, I guess what Lawrence was saying, we are a little bit more private because even the most religious of us Brits probably won't go to that length, or it won't even be a normalcy. If some families do it, like, it's rare. But to find that you've experienced that and it's a bit more normal here, that's definitely probably a difference there.
Yeah, the rare in my experience is not doing it.
Wow. Okay, all right. So I guess he's right on that one. He seems that way, and like I said, he's generalizing. But I definitely would say it's probably from how it's coming across what you said. It's more of a thing in America than it is in the UK.
In my experience, yes. Like I said, like he said, I don't know any statistics about this. I've never read a book or article about this, but I experience this a lot.
Wow. But one day I'll come to your house.
Yeah.
Fair.
I can see that in the cards. Yeah, we'll definitely have you over for dinner. You have to say some grace. You have to, you have to close your eyes and at least absorb the grace.
Right. Wow. Okay. Fair. I did not know that.
Food. And because the energy's so good, that leads us on to our next entry.
Table chatter.
Oh, I don't mind a bit of chatter and exceptionally weird noises. And at an American dinner table, you're going to get a lot of chatter. Usually, again, this is another generalization, but on the whole, this is my experience. Okay. And I'm one of those people who doesn't think that Americans are always loud, as the stereotype dictates. But one exception tends to be in restaurants, right? I do hear the volume go up there as compared to Britain, where it feels like we're always battling with this war within ourselves to not air our dirty laundry in public. I'm not saying we don't talk at dinner tables, don't get me wrong. It feels observationally once again, and again, there's no data on this. There's not somebody going around measuring the decibels in every restaurant in either country, especially right now because they're all closed. But that's my general experience of it. Now, I could be getting thrown off course a little bit here because, you know, my wife's family are really loud. Don't tell them I said that, although this is a public video. They know it's true. I've told them before, and that's why we've not spoken in a year. But here in America, you might be in a restaurant, sitting down with just one other person, trying to have a quiet, intimate conversation, and to your right there's this really loud family with a 5-year-old running around with a stupid hat on that he got from the restaurant, right? So they're further enhancing the volume of said family. And then on the other side there's clearly what is a date happening, and the woman is just sitting there quietly looking quite glum, while the man very audibly and haphazardly talks about all of the Fortune 500 companies he's worked for, and she stares into space, presumably thinking of all the ways that she can get out of there. But on the other hand, once you you do get used to that sort of raised volume, it does add to the atmosphere, you know. And if you're already in a good mood and you enter somewhere where thousands, that's a huge restaurant, hundreds maybe, where there's lots of people and they're in a good mood, and it just sort of bounces off the walls, you know. But speaking of restaurants, that brings us on to our next entry.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Now, I don't know
but actually, I'm sorry to cut you there, but I just want to say, before you even get on into what you're saying, what you said from the British perspective about Americans being loud, especially in restaurant dynamics, I even thought that when I came here. Mm-hmm. So just so you know, I was like, okay. People are loud, you know, but then, because in the UK, people tend to be way more cautious of the surroundings, and it's more in the culture to like try and mind your own business with conversation. You don't want other people to be hearing it. But go on, sorry, you were going to say what you were going to say. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I don't know your perspective, because I've never been to the UK to eat, but
you gotta come one of these days, man. I gotta put you on.
Well, like, I'm not too excited from what I've seen, you know, about the food.
Come on,
from what I hear, this is my prejudgment here. I'm not too excited to go eat in the UK. Maybe just experience. I don't know.
Wow, okay. Hey, keeping it real, man. I hear.
But it's eating with people is very much a positive social event. Typically, like you go to eat to catch up, you go to eat to bring your family, do something nice. Like, that's like we haven't done anything in a while. Let's go out to a restaurant and enjoy each other's company while we eat good food, hopefully. So,
hopefully.
And then it depends on the restaurant, because like, you've been here, you've been to all kinds of restaurants. You've been to like high-end restaurants. You've been average, mid-tier, small but busy, small but dead, big but you know, like, you've experienced it all. You would say it's like up to the restaurant to set the tone of how you will act in this restaurant. If you go to like an Applebee's, it's gonna be very loud. You know? But if you go to like a high-end steakhouse, people tend to carry themselves a little bit better, because I think, one, it just comes with it. Like, even if you are rooted in arrogance, you still want to act the part. You know, you still want to be a part. Like, no, we're quiet. We're here. Some people be like, I could do whatever I want, anywhere I want, because I'm that kind of person. And other people are more conscious of like, oh yeah, you're spending money to come here. You deserve to have an enjoyable time and not listen to my conversation while you're here with someone else.
I get you.
I think that's what it is. I don't know, but that's just my opinion.
Wow. Fair. I mean, you gave quite a nuanced, varied, like, you gave different perspective as well. So like, it depends on the place as well, but. Okay, that's interesting. I wonder how many of you guys in the comments will go below have a similar experience as well watching this. But okay, this is why I love getting your insight into this, man. Wow. Okay. Serve etiquette. Okay.
Servers. My heart does go out to all of the servers and anybody else to whom this applies around the world who can't go into work right now. And a huge thank you to delivery servers who are able to keep people fed who might need it. But, you know, back in peacetime, when the restaurants were still open, there was quite a marked difference between, you know, British servers and American servers, and the way they sort of conduct themselves at the dinner table while you're eating your dinner. In Britain, they're quite standoffish, and I know that's just a trait of British people in general. I get that, but they don't have the incentive, which we'll talk about in a minute, to constantly be coming back to your table and seeing how you're doing, checking if you need a refill on that water, because you probably won't get one anyway. I'm joking, of course you'll get a free refill on your water, just nothing else. Often, know this, if you want their attention, you're going to have to get their attention yourself, and that includes when it comes time to pay the bill. Whereas in the United States, and each restaurant has its different policy on this, you know, the waiting staff will come to your table every 5 minutes usually, just to see how you're doing, and it seemingly doesn't matter if you're in the middle of a seriously one-sided conversation about the Fortune 500 companies you've worked for. They will still come over and go, hey, what's up? How's that tenderloin working out for you? And there are a couple of big reasons, I think.
Cool. What do you think of the accent right there?
That was great. I love it. I love the funny ones. That was good.
Hey, Lawrence, you got Justin's approval, man, if you're ever watching this, man.
That was funny. I like that one.
Seriously one-sided conversation about the Fortune 500 companies you've worked for. They will still come over and go, hey, what's up? How's that tenderloin working out for you? And there are a couple of big reasons, I think, that American serving staff do this. Firstly, the company often dictates it. It's seen as a kind of data-driven way of, you know, having good customer service. But having good customer service could well dictate this.
Okay, well, so real quick, you see people are more friendlier in a way. Like, yeah, they're more attentive to you.
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
Yes. Well, like, I don't have anything else to compare it to. But
Right.
from what you've told me,
from what, I definitely,
where like someone coming to fill up your water unprovoked,
right? That was
shocking to you.
That
like
was
a big moment.
shocking.
So, I mean, but it's part of it, you know. Like they kind of rely on how we feel as the consumers, the customers, to how their check's gonna look,
right?
You know,
right?
So, and I saw he was about to.
He was gonna get into,
so I don't want to go.
We're
too,
gonna,
I think
right.
they tie in too
it's
much
gonna,
together.
but just to elaborate further a little bit, definitely. When I came here, the customer service, with the waiters and waiters and the waitresses and waiters in the restaurants was way more. Like, I felt way more special here in the UK. It's way more nonchalant. They're not as incentivized to be that attentive. And if you do come, I'm sure I'd love to even see how you react to that. But I echo what he's saying here in this as well.
Well, like, I didn't know it was like, I heard of it, but like you kind of re-emphasized that in my brain that when I go there, that's gonna be my experience. Because before you came back, I still knew about it, but I would have went and been surprised that no one like came to check up on me. I'd have been like, "What's going on?" I definitely can imagine myself.
Do you know what? Because you're American, I think you'll get special treatment. Because they just have a feeling.
Oh, they just know that I'm gonna. I forgot about that with the accent.
They might switch it up for you though, but for me, they're just gonna be same old. Like, you might actually get the American experience in the UK.
That's valid. I forgot about that because it's well known.
Having good customer
No, I was just saying it's well known. It's well known.
Right.
Service could well dictate this.
The tip.
Have they tried antifreeze with that?
Of course.
No. Well, he might go back to his milk phase eventually. Yeah. So the dreaded tip, or at least it was dreaded to me when I first moved to America. Actually, when I landed at Philadelphia Airport, this is the first time I remember having to sort of navigate the American tipping system because I bought a drink at a bar at that very airport. And having bought the Jack Daniels or 6, I'm not a good flyer. I turned to the gentleman next to me and I asked him, how does tipping work? And, he very, very kindly offered, well, whatever the amount is on your receipt, just give them 85% of that. And that's about good. That's standard.
Wow.
That was a lie. And I ended up almost bankrupt. Firstly, in the United States, regardless of the amount, it's very much expected that you do tip.
Wait, just real quick. So that guy he spoke to was definitely trolling, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
That's ridiculous. If that's a true story, that person was just looking for a laugh, and
I can imagine
at the expense of someone else truly believing him. And
wow. Poor Lawrence, insane. Man. Poor
if
Lawrence.
he really continued on until someone told him that was an insane amount, then yeah.
Crazy.
Firstly, in the United States...
That would have got me as well, by the way. First time coming it. I would have believed it as well.
Probably.
Very much expected that you do tip because that's basically how servers make their wage. And the standard amount that you're expected to tip is the complete opposite of 85%. It's 15%, right? But if you thought it was good service, or just to be sort of a good person, really, you can definitely tip more than that. I typically tip. Just try saying that after 6 whiskeys. I did that night. I typically tip, particularly if I'm on a trip, 20%, or I might even round up to 21 if it kind of requires it. Tipping of some kind is expected here. In the UK, if you're thinking of going there, firstly, don't do that right now, but if after all this blows over you are fancying going to the UK, then you're not required to tip at all, right? I mean, people get paid a sort of living wage more or less for being a server in the UK. It's good practice. If you want to do that, you certainly can. 10% is recommended. And, growing up in the UK, I never really did tip all that often, I must say. I think if I were to live there now, I probably would do so a bit more. It's not expected. I mean, servers aren't going to expect you to tip. Although, if they hear your accent and you are American, their ears might prick up a bit thinking, here comes a payday, right? Whereas it's the other way round here. As soon as servers hear a British accent, they must be filled with dread. Or maybe that's not true. Maybe servers hear a British accent and think, he's ripe for manipulation. I've had some bad experiences. That's it for this episode. Thank you for joining me today. And, it's kind of sad that I couldn't practice a lot of these things for the video, except for the knives and forks, and those were the last plastics I have. As ever, a reminder that you can keep up with me and all my stupid ramblings on Twitter at LostInThePondUS. And if you've not had a chance to do so, why not subscribe to my channel so that my videos don't get lost in the pond? As ever, a big shout out to all my patrons who make spoons.
Right, guys. That's pretty much the end of that one. But yeah, right. The last one. What do you have to say about the tipping part?
So, yeah, 15-20% is standard.
Wow, that's a lot from a British perspective, man.
I mean, it's a lot in general. So, like, there's the whole big debate on why is the customers responsible for paying the servers and not the business. But there's so much nuance into that. You know, restaurants are one of the worst businesses to get into.
I see.
Financially, like, in the country. So, their margins are so bad. You know, you get quality food that's affordable. You pay the server $4 an hour, $2 an hour, and then let them keep the tips.
Wow.
And that's how that works. So now you got
so
great service because there's incentive to be great at serving and be a positive, create a positive experience for the customers in the restaurant, and that all in all makes it people want to come back.
I see.
But yeah, it's just an interesting battle. It's like, yeah, it's not on us, but I think, like, I'm not one that's gonna say I'm not gonna tip because it shouldn't be my responsibility because that's taking it on the server and not the business.
I see. Okay, I see.
But and I also have a really, really soft spot for servers.
Oh, really? Okay, why?
Yeah, because someone really, really close to me is a server currently.
Okay.
And so, like, I used to see her, like, come home and be like a 40% tip just made her day. You know, like, stuff like that. You know, you see that up close and personal. And then I used to work in a restaurant, but I was back of the house. I was a cook, so I didn't get any tips. But, like, you just see it, like, how they treat a customer that tips well, that tips above everyone else. They get a little different treatment, a little special treatment. Okay. Your special instructions aren't just a note. It's I'm gonna go back and make sure it gets done right.
I see. That's, and you know, I'm glad you're even sharing that perspective as well, because like I said, it's almost opposite in the UK. We rarely tip, and there's not even it's not much of a conscious thing in your head when you're in restaurants. Obviously, because I guess the setup is different. One, and then just in general, like, you know, it's the culture around tipping is just non-existent as much in the UK. And to say, when you're saying it's like a debate here and everything, like, I'm sure you know the ins and outs of it. I don't, but yeah, it's different, man. It's crazy to think about. Wow.
I understand both sides because I've been a little bit a part of both sides. So.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm glad I'm getting a bit of that perspective, your insight there. And of course, for those of you guys watching, maybe some of you guys also have good insight. You want to comment down below where you fall on that whole topic debate. Share some of your experiences, and of course as well, let us know what you thought about Lawrence's video. Like, do you guys agree or disagree with some of these from my Americans and my British people, or wherever you're watching? Do you guys agree or disagree with the points that were being raised? Obviously, you heard what we had to say, so I'll be very curious to see what you guys have to say as well. But yeah, guys, that's gonna end it for today's reaction. Guys, definitely let us know if you wanna us check out some more of this American versus British, like, cultural differences, and if you want to bring Justin on to, like, you know, explore, to represent more of the American perspective.
I'll represent.
That's a big deal, right?
Because he's seen it. He's seen it live in action. I go hard for it.
Right, man. See, we got the man for the job, guys. But yeah, and as always, lads, comment down a blue heart if you made this point in the video for my real ones, my flexes watch through to the end. Shout out to you guys. And if you want to see me check out some more of diving into some American stuff, I've got a playlist you can check out at the end of this one. But as always, guys, I've been your boy JayFlex, and today I've been with my boy Justin. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.